The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. Today we'll be talking about dementias with the Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Association of Montana. Did you know that individuals who are 65 plus, 1 in 3 who die have some type of a dementia? And there are a lot of dementias out there. First, we need to be aware of them. Next, we need to be aware of how we can maybe curb that. So stay tuned.
Medicare loses $60 million in Montana each year, $70 billion nationally. Medicare processes 4.5 million claims a day. They don't know who your doctor is, but you do. Mistakes can happen. Read your Medicare statements and call Montana Senior Medicare Patrol if you see anything unexpected. 1-800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
How about some good old-fashioned me time for starters?
Michelle Smith, Helena.
Or maybe play a high-stakes game of volleyball with my other kiddo. Gotta teach him who's boss, you know? I could even make my famous spinach lasagna. Never hear any complaints about that.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
Hey Mom, more lasagna please?
Hi folks, welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services Senior and Long-Term Care Division. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. We're talking dementias today, and we want you to become more aware of what a dementia is and what are some of the solutions, well maybe not solutions, but how can we address dementia issues. Of course, we've got a wonderful expert here from the Alzheimer's Association, the Executive Director, Melaine Williams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay. Now, when you talk about dementias, that's a broad term. There are a lot of dementias. What is a dementia?
So dementia is anything that reduces cognition and cognitive abilities in somebody. It's not just memory, as some people think. It's also problem solving. Things that they've done all their life, they maybe can't do anymore. They can't accomplish tasks that they've been very good at. Memory is also impacted, but that might not be the first thing that we see in somebody that has a dementia. Mm-hmm. So it's actually cellular death in the brain that is causing these changes in the person.
And of course, the big question is, what causes it? Do they really know? I mean, there's quite a few dementias out there.
There's a lot of research being done right now, some very exciting research. We don't know of any one particular thing, but we are learning a lot about the disease. We are also finding more ways to maybe treat the disease. We don't have a cure yet, but we do have some treatments. Mm-hmm. The more we learn about it, the more we'll be able to attack it, treat it, and hopefully slow the progression. But in the meantime, a wealth of research has been done on lifestyle interventions. And so we'll be talking about that later in the show too.
Right. Well, now you're with the Alzheimer's Association. There are lots of dementias. You don't just focus on Alzheimer's as an association, right?
No. The actual name of our nonprofit is Alzheimer's and Other Related Dementias. Alzheimer's just happens to be the most the most common form of dementia, with about 60% of the people that have a dementia living with Alzheimer's. But what makes it complicated is that some people can have more than one dementia. They might have 2 or 3, and that complicates diagnosis. The symptoms might be the same, but they might vary. Every person that has dementia manifests it a little bit differently depending on what part of the brain was impacted.
Oh, that's interesting because if you have a variety of those, maybe you have different varieties of approaches to helping. I guess once you have it, you treat it, but up front you want to prevent it, right?
Right, yeah. Yes, and it really does differ from person to person. Even 2 people with Alzheimer's can behave very differently and respond very differently. So at the Alzheimer's Association, we really try to help caregivers understand where their loved one is in the journey. We meet them where they're at with resources and education. And I think disease education is very powerful in understanding what's happening with their loved one. So when they're asking the same question over and over and over, we can explain to them why that is happening. And it just helps them navigate the journey a little bit more to understand what's going on in the brain. The person isn't trying to be difficult. That's a manifestation of the disease.
Yeah. And, people say, well, I forgot my keys. I must have Alzheimer's. Occasional forgetfulness isn't really a sign of that. We've been doing it all our lives. What are some of the signs that we need to start maybe doing something, maybe addressing this?
Yeah. We do all lose our keys.
Yeah.
One sign might be if you set your keys down in an unfamiliar spot, can't find them, and later you see them where you left them and you go, oh, that's right. I got a phone call. I set them down there. That's why they're there. Somebody with dementia might set the keys down in an unfamiliar spot and can't retrace their steps. They don't remember how their keys ended up there. So they might think somebody moved them, somebody else did that because they can't retrace their steps. That also happens with driving. They might be driving to a familiar spot that they go to often and all of a sudden don't remember how to get there. So it's when they can't recall steps or can't recall familiar tasks that they're used to doing that we start to get concerned. Maybe they've kept their bills and bookkeeping all their lives and they've done an amazing job at it, very detail oriented, and all of a sudden they're forgetting to pay bills or they're paying them twice. Maybe they've made a recipe over and over and over in their lifetime, and the recipe starts to fail because they forget ingredients, they do things in the wrong order. So when familiar tasks start to break down, we start to become concerned.
Okay. And as you describe that, I imagine the individuals don't report that. It's probably the loved ones that observe it. And I imagine when the loved ones observe it, it might be a little too far down the road. Right?
Yeah. Very often the person living with it doesn't even realize that's happening because they don't have the ability to retrace their steps or to remember short term and recall, oh, I've been asking the same question. They don't know they've been asking the same question.
Yeah. And I remember way back they said, well, if someone is going to wash the dishes, so they put them in the bathtub, that's a sign. I mean, it's, or they put the car keys in the refrigerator because that's where they always go.
Right, yeah. It's just things that are out of the normal, out of the ordinary, that don't make a lot of sense, but they don't understand what they've done that doesn't make sense.
So the caregiver needs to take a first step, and I imagine the Alzheimer's Association is one of those places, besides maybe the family doctor, but maybe they would ask you first. You have resources, you have a website, and you have a telephone number. What do you offer a caregiver?
Yeah, we have lots of information on our website. Depending on what you want to know about the disease, or if you're just trying to find out where to go first, we always recommend that you see your primary because it could be something else. It could be an infection, it could be some medications. We want to rule all that out first. Our helpline is available 24/7. It's staffed with master level clinicians. They are amazing and a wealth of information. So if you want a more specific answer or even need a care consult, I highly recommend calling our helpline.
Your helpline. Okay, well, now we've quickly drawn to a close on this first segment. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's a lot more ground to cover. And we'll further define what is a type of a dementia, what Alzheimer's is, and we'll talk more about the resources that are available through the Alzheimer's Association in Montana. Beyond the website, I think they have resources in your town. We'll talk about that and a lot more, so stay tuned.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Today, class, we'll be discussing the term ombudsman, a word we borrowed from the Swedes and never gave back. Say you're a resident or you have a loved one in long-term care. Now, what do you do if you're not happy with the care and services you receive? You call your long-term care ombudsman, of course. Your ombudsman is available to support you and your rights. An advocate on your behalf could be the ticket. This is your home. If you have questions, the numbers right there below me have all the answers. Class dismissed.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and I'm continuing our discussion about dementia in Montana and in our citizens. What are some resources, and what we want to do is define what it is. Rejoining us is Melanie Williams. You're the Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Association of Montana. Got that out in one breath. But now, you know, I think it's believed that normal aging, one does forget some things, and maybe that is normal, but when does it become abnormal?
Yeah, so we all forget that name. We're in the conversation with somebody and we're trying to remember the name of somebody and we forget it, and then maybe 2 hours later we remember it, or later in the conversation. Mm-hmm. We might be talking and get distracted and forget what we were saying, but we can often return to the conversation. So that's a normal part of aging. Yeah. Somebody that has a dementia might lose track of what they're saying halfway through a sentence, and they have no way of recalling what the conversation was about. If they lose a name, it may not ever come back. The other thing that starts to happen is many of them lose nouns, which is interesting. And so they can describe something. They can tell you what a toaster is or what a lawnmower is, but they can't come up with the word. I'm not sure why that is, but it's a little interesting fact. So they maybe use a lot of descriptive words, or they might point to objects or use their hands to show you the shape of an object because they have forgotten the name of it.
Okay, so now that brings us to diagnosis. And earlier we mentioned that many times it's the caregiver that notices and then will bring the issue up. So you need to get a diagnosis. Why is the diagnosis important? Are all dementias kind of the same? I mean, are they generic?
A diagnosis is very important because there's a lot of planning that needs to happen when somebody is diagnosed with dementia. We'll talk a little bit about diagnosis in a moment, but the important thing to remember is that it is a long-term journey. And so this is a chance for the individual that has the disease to make decisions, to tell their family what their wishes are, what their wants are, financially to look at the finances to see what's available and do some planning that way, and also look at some of the legal things that might need to happen, like power of attorney. It's also a chance to look at life and say, how, this kind of threw a spin on things, so how are we going to make the best of this situation? I call it living well with dementia. So maybe the family needs to make some changes, but it doesn't mean it's the end of joy. You can still find joy. It just might mean some changes for the family. There might be less travel involved. Holidays might look a little bit different, but there is still time to spend with family and to enjoy that time and just to understand the progression of the disease. We also know that lifestyle intervention changes can decrease your chances or slow the progression of the disease by up to 40%. So if somebody's diagnosed early on, they could actually do some lifestyle changes that could slow down the progression of the disease and maybe stay in that early stage for quite some time. People in the early stages can still drive. They can still live a full life, maybe with some limitations. So wouldn't it be wonderful if we could incorporate some lifestyle changes and they could stay at that stage longer without progressing into the later parts of the disease? We do have 2 treatments available in the United States that are FDA approved. So if somebody chose that route, they could also have access to those treatments that slow the progression. And finally, trial matches. So trial match is where you could get involved with a research study. And all of these work best if you're in the very early stages of the disease. If it's middle or late, it's usually too late to get involved in a trial or with a treatment. But I know some people feel like, well, you know what? If this is the card I was dealt, I'm going to get involved with research and do what I can to help future generations know more about the disease.
Oh, that's great. I know I had a relative that had a pharmaceutical dementia. I had a heated discussion with the doctor, and they got off those medications. So sometimes some of these things can be addressed. But how does one get diagnosed? Because you don't know if it can be addressed. It seems like anymore there's a lot of specialties. Are there specialties in diagnosing dementias?
There are. The biggest thing is to be very honest with the primary care doctor and give them lots of anecdotal evidence. What they're going to do first is try to eliminate what it's not. So they might look to make sure it's not a stroke, that it's not pharmacological interventions that are taking place, maybe other deficiencies that the person might have. They're going to look at all of that first, and through a process of elimination, they'll start to narrow it down to a dementia. Alzheimer's can be diagnosed. It's just very difficult, especially in Montana. The closest place is Spokane, so we do have to travel to get that diagnosis. But working with your doctor, being very honest, working with a neurologist, and even having the family bring forth anecdotal evidence of things that they've witnessed and seen will help a doctor really narrow in on that this could be a dementia.
So it's not just the individual that seeks help. I mean, the family, it's a cooperative thing. It's a team effort in which it needs to be addressed once they determine what kind of a dementia and how there are interventions for that. Well, I know that at one time they said that there's no analyzing Alzheimer's until the person has passed away, but now that they have tests, that's wonderful.
Yes, and they're fairly accurate, close to 99% accurate. 100% accuracy is post-mortem, but the tests that are coming out are showing incredible accuracy. FDA also just approved a blood test that has a higher than 91% accuracy rate. It'll pick up on the amyloid plaques. And so that's at least more information for the doctor. It might not bring about a diagnosis at that time, but it's just one more piece of evidence, one more piece of information that will help the doctor tell the patient, here's what's happening.
Tool in the toolbox. Well, we've gone to a close on our second segment already. In our next segment, we'll be talking about how we can take care of our brain. That's probably something we need to do from day one, is good mental health. What are some of the things that can help prevent dementias or help or delay their onset? So more information, stay tuned.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
Hey, caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
There's so much I want to do, like researching family history.
Sandra Gaskin, Bozeman.
And this time of year, there's never enough time to keep up with my garden. But what I really love to do with my respite time is to work on my latest quilting project.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
It's so fulfilling when all the pieces come together.
Hi folks, and welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. We're having a great discussion about dementias, and particularly about Alzheimer's, with the Executive Director of the Montana Alzheimer's Association, Melanie Williams. Now, Melanie, prevention is always better than treatment. What can we do maybe up front in our lives to help prevent us from getting any type of a dementia?
We are learning so much about how much of an impact lifestyle has on brain health.
Yeah.
So starting at an early age, the typical things that we hear about, what's good for your heart is good for your brain. So exercising daily, incorporating healthy eating habits. People always ask me, well, what does that mean? And I say, eat real food.
Yes, yes.
Also socializing. We're learning a lot about socializing, especially since COVID, and that interaction with people. It doesn't mean you have to go out in large groups or be in venues where there's lots of people, but just maintaining a social life, visiting with friends and family can also be very good for brain health. Along with that, we want to challenge our brain. So I know of people that have done crosswords all their life. Yes. Part of the problem, though, is that those become easy for that person. So it's not a challenge for the brain anymore. Yeah. So we want to learn something new. We want to find something that makes our brain hurt a little bit. So maybe trying something we're not as good at. Yeah. A second language is known to increase brain capacity by quite a bit. And I tell folks, even if you're not interested in that, maybe taking up something like sign language, because then that brings in several modalities.
Interesting.
Sleep is always very integral to brain health. Our brain is restoring while we sleep, and it's actually very, very busy during sleep, and it needs to complete several processes in sleep. So getting good sleep hygiene, learning what that means for you, talking to your doctor about good sleep and how you can promote that is very important. Staying in school, we call it, so similar to challenging your brain, just continuing to learn and not stopping that learning process at all. So all of these together will help delay the onset or even keep you from developing dementia if you practice them daily. And we always say to find something you like. So I tell people when you're looking for an exercise program, find something you enjoy and maybe do it with friends. And then you're getting the exercise plus you're socializing. You're doing it with somebody. So finding things that you will stick to and enjoy is really the key too.
Oh yeah, you talk about socialization, working with the Office on Aging. We have programs, senior center meals, and we realize how important socialization is. We've got to get the people out, meeting other people and interacting. And exercise, well, I guess I'm old enough, they used to say, go walk. And I think, walking, that's exercise? And no, now, yes, it is. So, so that's all really, really good. And you pointed out a lot of good things that we really need. Socialization can even be calling up a friend and talking to them on the phone. It doesn't have to be in person. But now let's talk about research. Alzheimer's Association is really big into research, and there's a lot of events going on to raise funds. What is happening in Alzheimer's and dementias?
We are continuing to find out more about lifestyle. In fact, this summer, a very large 2-year research project is coming to a close, and the results will be revealed in July. And it's from around the world. So I am really looking forward to the results of that, because this isn't just an issue in the United States. It's worldwide. I think that will tell us a lot. There is a lot of research right now also related to blood pressure and managing blood glucose, so diabetes type research that's taking place. We are continuing to look for treatments, but also a cure. Our goal is a world, or our vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementias. And we've made more progress in the last 10 years than has been made in the last 100 years when Alois Alzheimer's first discovered Alzheimer's. So I was at a conference last summer. Over 8,000 scientists were presenting their research on brain health and dementias. So it's a very active space right now. A lot is happening. We're raising funds all the time to continue to support that so that we can see this disease either slow down or stopped.
You know, I've been doing Alzheimer's shows here for so long, and what you mentioned, what contributes to it, that's all kind of new, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But it kind of makes sense, you know, be an active person, mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially. And the progress that has been made has been great. And boy, it'd be great if we had a pill or something, but lifestyle change, you know. I think our area agencies and your hospitals have resources for that. Now, how about support groups? I know there was support groups around because a caregiver, this is the first time they've seen it. How about support groups? Why are they important?
Yes, it's such a difficult and lonely journey. And especially at the beginning when you're not sure what's going on, you can start to feel like you're the one that's not seeing things accurately and wondering what's happening. So talking to others and finding out you're not alone, there's a big tribe out there waiting for you. Sharing stories. And also, we talk a lot about non-pharmacological approaches to behaviors with people with dementia. So getting together with others and finding out what works for them. You know, we've learned music has a huge impact on people with dementia. And finding music that they like might be calming. Essential oils, maybe somebody found a trick with essential oils. Or so just talking with others about what works when your person gets active, you know, gets really agitated or worked up, or what are you doing to prevent wandering? Learning more about that can be so helpful on this journey.
And you know what, I know there are individuals who had loved ones with Alzheimer's and the individual had passed away, and they stayed in the support groups because what's new to you is not new to them, and just be open, and you're traveling the same path. It's new to you but not to them. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. We could probably go an hour, Melanie. Thank you for what you do, and the Alzheimer's Association, and how they help individuals with some type of dementia throughout the state.
Thank you.
Great.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and for our viewers, you know, we have a website that's been up, and we have a telephone number up. They're there to help you when you just have maybe the first question, just maybe a maybe about some loved one. The caregivers are the first line to many times to identify a memory issue with the loved one. And the important point is there's resources out there. There's medical, there's social, and there's different things that are coming down the line through research. And being tied into these resources are so important for both you and your loved one. For Aging Horizons, I'm Brian Lamore. Thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.